regular season this year with the ACC tournament of the postseason fast approaching. The last time these two teams took the floor at Cameron, it was Reece Beekman's three-pointer in the dying seconds that gave Virginia a win. In the next meeting, though, Kyle Filipowski's 20-point game led Duke to the ACC tournament championship. Two of the top three teams in the ACC this year, only behind North Carolina, which will come to this building 1 week from today. This is a heck of an appetizer course before that feast. Good evening, welcome to Cameron. Kevin Brown, John Crispin, delighted to be with you. It is always a joy when Virginia and Duke get together. The last 5 years, these two programs have been the class of the ACC, and it's an extra joy when it happens in this building.
Look, we could talk about players and maybe set up some of the game, but the reality is you've got to deal with everything else. This is Duke in Cameron in March. Oh boy, right? And because of all these things, right? Because of the atmosphere, the environment, that unmissable and irrefutable aura surrounding the program, it's not just about playmaking, it's not just about your scheme and your execution. It really comes down to having the considerable poise required to be able to manage the things that you feel. And look, we feel it too as broadcasters. We feel what players are going to feel. I think this Duke program, their fan base, they take great pride in their greatness. They're not going to be comfortable coming in here if you're UVA, but if there's one guy that gets it, it's Reece Beekman. Last time out, game winner. He's the only one on the UVA roster that has ever played here. Going to need poise and a solid start for Tony Bennett to feel comfortable.
They opened this building in 1940, a 36-27 win over Princeton. 1,133 games later, it is Virginia and Duke on the second day of March, 2024. The Cavaliers start with the ball in a game officiated by Brian O'Connell, Lamar Simpson, and Brent Hampton. Jacob Groves back in the starting lineup today for Virginia, which has Beekman controlling, searching for Groves, and giving it to him in the dying moments of the shot clock as Groves elevates and scores, opening the game with a long two for UVA. As we look at the Duke starting five, the guards, McCain, Roach, and Proctor. No Caleb Foster, who is out for a second straight game with a right foot injury. And there is Mark Mitchell getting to the line. A chance for three on the opening Blue Devil possession.
And I would say good start for Virginia. You know, tough possession, didn't have much going. Groves hits a good shot. But on the other end, so many actions to cover and so many weapons to deal with.
John Shire told us, shoot around, they were going to involve Mark Mitchell early because when he scores, we win. He scores the first three for Duke off the foul against Groves.
Well, they win when McCain goes for 35 as well. So.
Just down the road from Chapel Hill, guys, welcome to Durham. Duke and Virginia, the only time in the regular season this year. Points on the first possessions for both teams. A basket by Jake Groves, who then fouled Mark Mitchell for an N1 opportunity. UVA and Duke meeting 179 between these two national champion programs as Kyle Filipowski takes the ball down the floor off an Isaac McNeely miss. He tries to get post position on Jordan Minor. He ducks inside. He misses. He grabs his own rebound and scores.
And that's big. I like the initial surge because what it did was it negated a double. So he was able to get that initial surge all the way to the block. No doubles coming. One-on-one ISO situation. I tip the favor. Good offense.
Virginia Cavaliers at 21-8, third in the ACC at 12-6. A bubble team in the field according to Joe Lunardi. Groves off the mark from three. Filipowski with a rebound. And Duke has a quick numbers advantage here. Minor comes back to defend. Filipowski has the switch on Beekman and takes advantage.
That's going to be a great challenge for UVA. Is really stopping, getting back in transition off of missed shots. Virginia is always better. Frankly, gosh, every team in college basketball is better off of a made shot when you get your defense back and get set.
They may be dramatically so, though. The slowest tempo team in America, and they get a basket from Ryan Dunn on the lob from Reece Beekman.
And Dunn's got to be active in terms of his cutting and reading because Dukes is sagging off of him considerably to the point where that sagging defender might help up on the basketball too much. Dunn has to see and read the play. He could be active and get himself an easy 20 points with back cuts.
Blue Devils, the ACC's best offensive team.
I said easy 20 points.
Yeah. You had an easy 20 time and again at Pittman High School.
Yeah, exactly.
Proctor, little oopsie daisy. Tyrese Proctor in the lane, and Duke has scored on its opening 4 possessions against the 3rd best scoring defense in America.
I think there's playmaking that is obvious, but what you don't see is great spacing. Spacing allows playmakers to make plays. And Duke so far to start this game, great spacing on the offensive end.
Beekman's lob to Miner failed this time, and Duke with the ball looking to make it 5 for 5. Mitchell backs it out to Filipowski. Proctor, Roach, McCain the guards. Again, if you're just joining us, no Caleb Foster. Out with a right foot injury for Duke. He'll be out for some time, according to John Shire. Inside Mitchell from Filipowski. He's drilled by Dunn. More free throws coming up for Mark Mitchell. Well, the last 5 years, Virginia and Duke are tied atop the composite ACC standings at 67 and 28. They're 2nd and 3rd in the league this year. Duke, the 2nd highest scoring offense, the most efficient offense in the ACC. Virginia, the 3rd best scoring defense in the country. And that bottom line number under John Shire, Duke is 30 and 2 at home. Last time Virginia was in this building was the year before John Shire took over. They won that game 2 years ago, February 7th, 2022, on a Reece Beekman 3 with 1.1 to go. Sophomore Mark Mitchell, 13-point per game scorer, has an early 5.
Duke has great balance, and a lot of that balance comes from A, good action, but B, good spacing. When you just play read and react, option-oriented offense, it's really not going to be about one guy or the other. Their balance makes them so dangerous.
Virginia with the first substitution, Andrew Rohde, and he immediately throws it into the Duke bench.
And look at the fans. Like, what a torturous place to play. You step into the game and you're like, let me just feel this out a bit, right? You felt everything walking off the bus and warming up, and you turn it over and you've got to hear it from the faithful.
For opposing teams, there may be no greater house of horrors in college basketball than Cameron Indoor Stadium. The 523rd consecutive sellout here, and this is what Duke does to you. Up 7 in the first 4:06.
So beautiful.
Today, I don't always know what I'm going to get with this team.
With your stability, it almost becomes something where people are like, we're bored with stable, right? We expect championships, and sometimes it's your success that elevates those expectations to an unreasonable level. Now, should everybody play for a championship every single year? Yeah, sort of. I mean, realistically speaking, though, it ain't that easy. And the landscape has since changed, where it's going to get even harder for a place like UVA that maybe isn't the traction that some high-level transfers want. I think it's going to be a challenge for Tony Bennett, and he's probably going to have to adapt.
Mitchell stuffs the shot attempt of Dunn. Virginia ball with 4 to shoot.
Like, how you play has become one of your greatest recruiters. Like, kids want to know that they can come and in a way be showcased. That's an easy one.
Oh, it was an easy one, and then Dunn missed it. He missed 2, in fact, and Beekman nearly had a 3rd assist. Filipowski against the freshman Blake Buchanan. Terrific find for Proctor.
All set up by Mitchell cutting. Mitchell cutting to the basket on the Filipowski drive. Just drug defense down, flattened everybody to the point where Filipowski could make that pass. Good to get Proctor going open from 3. You get Proctor, Roach, and McCain shooting the 3. Game gets real easy.
They are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country, Duke, and they were well near the bottom last year, ranking in the 200s nationally. Beekman off the spin. Beekman front of the rim, no. Virginia's 2 for 9 with 2 turnovers. Duke is 5 for 7 without a turnover. Mitchell.
There you go.
And there is the first turnover. A travel against Mark Mitchell.
Spoke it into action. Like, this is a good find by Philip. There's the cut, right? Look at the defense. Freezes. You cut across the face of a defender. They can't help but to at least watch you. It's like the beehive effect in micro mini soccer. They just follow the ball. It still happens at this level. So if you could face cut somebody and he's a secondary defender, even not yours, that defender likely flows with you.
Duke already with 2 7-0 runs in the game. Virginia looking to cut into that with McNeely, a terrific shooter. Beekman. That was kicked by Filipowski. Reset the shot clock to 24, Virginia.
Yeah, one of the things for Duke, too, is when you watch him shoot around in practice, what you look for is like the improvements on the defensive end. Are they physical, or are they, about your rotations, or is it about your communication? Which then goes back to that other point, which is continuity. Something Jon Scheyer talked about earlier this year when I had them against Louisville. Talked about the continuity, dealing with injuries, and helping guys find continuity with one another. It's something you need to develop. The more they play together, the better they get at communicating. The better they communicate, the better defensively you get.
Caleb Foster's out again today. They've had some nagging injuries here and there. Have not been full strength for much of the year as Beekman wraps around and scores his first basket. See the graphic there. It's been about a third of the games this year Duke has been without a starter. Tyrese Proctor was in a concussion protocol a couple of games ago. Mark Mitchell's missed a couple of games. No major season-ending injuries, but they've had problem establishing a lineup, and Jon Scheyer said establishing role definition.
Yep.
Filipowski going to work on Buchanan, and he muscles it in with a left. An early 6 for Filipowski, who is putting his stamp down on this young Virginia front line.
Oh, and you look at that, you say, well, kind of a non-committal dig down, maybe non-committal double. Well, it's hard to overcommit when you have three-point shooters around the perimeter and a great playmaker and passer in Filipowski.
Buchanan maybe could have taken a step further there, floated it long. A rebound for Tyrese Proctor, slashing into the lane. Here's Filipowski for 3.
Pretty sure I was calling that one before Tony Bennett.
Welcome to Cameron, Virginia.
See, Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare home.
Out of it, UVA is going to stay in chase mode. If UVA is in chase mode, it's going to be a long night.
Trying to be on the first Blue Devil to lead Duke in points back-to-back years since
those names.
DeMarcus Nelson did it in 07-08. And yeah, that's the players who've scored 1,000 points in 2 years.
That's the aura,
the millennium,
right? That adds to the aura, right? The history. It's Coach K court, the dominance over the last few decades. And you're not just playing against the players on the floor. It's almost like you're playing against the history of players that have come before these guys. And I think that all adds to what makes this place special.
Reece Beekman at the other end, a chance for a three-point play. Filipowski picks up his first foul.
And that's a good response out of the timeout. Now, Reece Beekman, tough drive. He's a physical guy. He understands what it takes to win at this level, not just play at this level. The question is, can you find some stability in this game? That's hard to do when Duke's off to the start they are.
All 9 Virginia points either scored or assisted by Beekman so far. He's put in 5. He's set up the other 2. Coming off a big game Wednesday in the win at BC. Roach. Proctor took a little bump off the hands of Mitchell. Duke's second turnover.
The bump by Proctor, he's got one dribble. There's no help side there. It was just a bad angle drive. If he can just gather himself with strength, take one extra power dribble, go up, there's no help coming over. And that's Mitchell on the outside. If they're not leaving Mitchell, you're going to have layup city or win at the foul line.
Duke's got Sean Stewart on the floor for the first time. TJ Power as well, 2'6" freshman. Jon Scheyer has been playing much bigger the last couple of games without Caleb Foster. As Filipowski on the deck, scored it to Roach. Little tic-tac-toe with Stewart.
These fans are ruthless, and I love it.
McNeely at 3. Well, short off the right hand of Buchanan. This arena is the world leader in layouts for broadcasters.
Yeah, you're right. I even did it. That's a record. Hey, tic-tac-toe? Is this what you called it? Maybe a little ping-pong, give and go. What do we want to call it? Either way, transition's been a problem, and Duke continues to roll.
There they are.
Not combined. Duke's going to try to make it 2 for 2 for Jon Scheyer. They got a big game next Saturday, of course, when UNC comes to town. Right now, Joe Lunardi says 5 teams in the ACC. 4 teams are within a game of 4th place. Clemson, Wake, Syracuse, and Pitt. That double bye with the ACC tournament 10 days away in Washington, D.C. Those 5 teams, by the way: Carolina, Duke, Clemson, Virginia, and Wake Forest, which is one of the last teams in. Right now, Wake's leading by 9 at Virginia Tech, which would be a terrific win for Steve Forbes' group. Here's Jeremy Roach. First missed 3 of the game for Duke, and it's right into the hands of Stewart. The freshman from Windermere, Florida, has got a couple of buckets.
Sometimes the worst misses are the easiest offensive rebounds. I say sometimes, I mean a lot of times.
Part of the reason the three-point shot has become such a revolutionary concept. You get more offensive rebounds when you miss them.
Well, but it's also the movement and the spacing, right? It's really hard to box out when there's so much space to cover on the floor. That's not going to work.
Dante Harris's first shot is one he'd like to forget. Filipowski from Proctor in the lane. Filipowski.
There's just, particularly in transition where the defense is really scrambling to get set, see the ball, contain the basketball. There's not really much of an answer for Kyle Filipowski in space. There's no double, and there's really no dig down because of his ability to pass.
Filipowski single-handedly outscoring Virginia right now. And Duke with 16 of its 25 in the paint. Blue Devils have missed 3 shots. Foul. McNeely is fouled from, it appeared, behind the arc. Wait for the signal from Brian O'Connell. And looks like he says a 2-shot foul only.
3. It's a 3.
Did he signal 3? Yeah, his foot was over the line.
Over the line or behind the line?
No, the right foot was on the line. It was over the line. Sean Stewart with the foul.
I mean, look, we are like kind of bird's eye view. We probably should be able to see this. I saw one official throw 3 fingers up, another throw 2. Do you want me to go on my rant about reviews? Is that a good time for that?
Well, I have a promo card in front of me, so I don't know if we're going to do that now or between free throws.
It'd be a great thing for UVA right now, right? Just a little review, reset.
You may have time.
Read your promo.
All right. Hey, coming up next here at ESPN, John, it's a Sonic blockbuster in Tuscaloosa. The top 2 teams in the SEC, number 4 Tennessee, number 14 Alabama. Volunteers won by 20 in the first matchup. Dan, Jay, and Jess will have the call right after this game here on ESPN.
How many 3 attempts for Alabama?
Over under 30. What do you think?
I mean, when I saw 50 or 52 the other day, I was looking for like loopholes in the NCAA rule book to find eligibility. Like, that's awesome. Like, even I think that's crazy.
Yeah. Space and pace, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let her fly. They go in. Good luck.
Stewart,
nice.
Terrific find. Filipowski's got 13, and Sean Stewart playing really good minutes, a freshman in the first half.
You know, they're getting extended. Good ball movement, east to west spacing, good movement, and then good read and react offense. That's what it is. That's a read, slip to the basket, great find. Ball never really hit the floor.
Ryan Dunn spins right into Filipowski. It's knocked away. It's a Duke takeaway. The 4th Virginia turnover. They have as many turnovers as made field goals.
You're rough.
I'm honest.
I guess.
Filipowski posting minor. Double team came a little bit from Dunn, who deflects it. Proctor in the backcourt with 10 to shoot. Ryan Dunn, a superb defender, is all over him. Proctor with a step back 2. In and out. Georgetown transfer Dante Harris. Speedster at the point for UVA, with Beekman back on the floor and playing off the ball. Get it off a screen from Minor. Missed a 3. Rebound Sean Stewart.
Just think Duke's ball screen action is so difficult to defend with the balance they have. And Stewart doing a good job getting to open spaces, cutting off of it, making reads, and also making good passes. All 5 involved in the action. That's really difficult to defend. I don't care how good you are defensively.
Roach. Tough shot. It goes for Jeremy Roach, who has been a Cavalier crusher in his career.
And that wasn't bad defense. That's just the way it's going.
First basket for Duke's 2nd leading scorer. That's whipped inside to Minor, and Stewart takes it off the rim. Watch for Stewart running the rim now, and Beekman got back to ward off a possible alley-oop. Filipowski on the slip. Deflected pass to the hands of Dante Harris. A takeaway for Virginia, and then Harris gives it right back with a carry. The nation's best turnover team has coughed it up 5 times against this relentless, swarming, dominant Duke Blue Devil defense. They are up huge at home in the first half.
Union Jack in there?
Huh?
Flag. Pay attention. That was... Well, yeah, apparently.
Geography major John Crispin to my right.
The history guy, not geography. It's definitely not the Union Jack, and there's a reason why. Kevin, explain it, please.
Yeah, well, first of all, Kyle Filipowski's outscoring Virginia, just to acknowledge the fine graphic put together by our folks. John thought the Australian flag was the Union Jack going to break. It was not. Tyrese Proctor is from Australia, and he plays for Duke. So there you go.
I have one of those, like, broken two-way educations, right? Half Penn State, half UCLA. I think I just missed that part of school.
Right. Yeah, they teach flags of the Southern Hemisphere junior year at State College, but sophomore year at Westwood, obviously. Here's McCain, who's yet to score, and yet Duke is 12 for 16. 2 for 3 from 3.
Balance.
3 for 3 from the line.
Balance, Kev. They really, when you have so many weapons, you can play to individual strengths, and it's really tough to cover. And even Ryan Young getting after it down low in the row. Wow, man. Wow.
With tenths of a second remaining on the shot clock, Young is on the score sheet. He's a 6th Duke player to score in this first half, and Duke is 5 for its last 6. McNeely got a look, but it was too clean. An illegal screen called against Jordan Minor.
I mean, this is good poise in a late clock situation. It's playmaking, right? And you look, there's 2 guys covering the basketball. You just have to make yourself present. And where you're present, where you should be present is where you can get a catch. Ryan Young does that very well. Time and score, he understands he's got to get a shot up quick.
5th-year player, started at Northwestern. This is game 151 in the career for Ryan Young. And he hasn't played a ton this season, but you think he'll be a big part for them down the stretch, right? It was big right there as he gave it to Mitchell for the easy 2.
Just watching his eyeballs, he's got a good feel for the game, right? He saw where 2 were coming at the basketball, and he knew where the second defender came from, and Mark Mitchell made the right decision to cut. It's good basketball. That's all that is.
It's an 8-0 Duke run. They've had 3 runs of at least 7-0 in this game, and Beekman airballs one from in the paint. He may hear about that from a fan or 2.
You think?
Virginia 4 for 17. Here's TJ Power. Young gets up for the offensive rebound. It's tipped to Beekman. Trying to steal a basket on the break, and Beekman can't finish, but he will shoot 2.
When you have so many weapons and when you space really well, it's hard to keep the ball from moving. I mean, this is just masterful. That's all that is. Ryan Young, active eyeballs, kind of feeling the game, makes the right play. Mark Mitchell finishes. Everybody's involved. Even the decoys are involved, and they don't get enough attention, right? McCain may not have scored, but his defender's not leaving him. So in a way, you want to celebrate and reward that just like you reward the outcome of a made basket.
Free throw's good for Beekman. Duke's coming off a win over Louisville Wednesday where they had 23 assists on 32 field goals. That's their most assists in an ACC game this year. 8 assists on 14 makes tonight, leading by 20 against this good Virginia team at home. Power. The freshman TJ Power keeps that pivot foot down. A lot more minutes for him and Stewart in the first half with Caleb Foster out. Mitchell again, he's got 7 in the first half. Dunn deflected it there. Here's Power. Got it on the rim at the end of the shot clock. Mitchell grabs it. Here's Roach. And a couple of missed threes for Duke. Virginia yet to hit from 3.
They have yet to really been able to get into their offensive action where you can establish and figure out what's going to work, right? Whether it's the flare screen, re-screen, that's a difficult thing to cover. This is just throwing the ball around and taking a shot.
Good contest by Young. The shot clock should not have reset, though. And that's why Brent Hampton blows this play dead.
But I go back to that. A solid start with good poise for a team that has only one guy who's ever played here. That's a lot to ask. And the solid start is not outscoring your opponent by 10, 15 points. It's really just feeling out the game without losing the game. And that's been the biggest challenge. What I would like to see if I'm Virginia is get into some of the flare screen, re-screens, run some of your offensive action, explore some of the counters within that action based on what Duke is doing defensively. And I think Duke has had a good game plan. You know, baseline runners, double screens, they're switching out on that. Good communication, flare screen, re-screens. They're communicating well there, but you've got to explore the secondary options you have within that action to start to attack Duke with confidence.
Do you think Isaac McNeely's thinking about any of that right now? In a sea of waving hands.
What about Andy Katz, who's right in front of him?
Look out, Filipowski! Beekman denied by Mitchell. Buchanan, no. Virginia's just tilting at windmills right now.
They're what?
Don Quixote?
Okay.
All right.
All right. Sometimes I forget how dorky you are.
Thank you. Proctor. McCain had Mitchell alive on the baseline for a moment. McNeely swats it in the air right to Roach. Back to Proctor. Good for three. Raise the Union Jack up high. Tyrese Proctor with a triple.
Oh, Kevin. Duke is actually at a point where they're playing for one another, not just playing with one another. And I think that's where you start to see teams come together. You start to seek out opportunities for one another, move the basketball, share it at a high level. Seems like every bounce is going their way.
Virginia's not hit from the field about 8.5 minutes. They haven't scored in about 2.5. McCain with a carry. Virginia has scored 13 points. Duke has hit 16 shots. And here's one of them from Kyle Filipowski.
You got really excited about this one. I almost was talking through it. How about the windmill? Kyle Filipowski. Duke is just at a point where they're rolling. Basketball's fun when everybody gets a chance. Picture billboards.
Thank you, John. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by healthcare.gov. Lost Medicaid or chip? Visit healthcare.gov to enroll today. Guys, how about 16 for 24, 26 points in the paint going right for Duke right now. They're +7 on the boards, they're +3 in the turnover margin, and not often you see a 7-footer, John, with a windmill delivery.
No, this was pretty nice. This has just been an impressive start, and it's really both sides of the ball. I think defensively they've been really locked in with one another, which is important. The communication is there. Their execution in terms of their scheme, their game plan, it's all there. There's a polish to Duke right now that makes them dangerous. And people have that conversation, well, are they Final Four good? There's like 30 teams that can make a Final Four this year. It's really about how polished you are and how anti-fragile your success is. Because I use that term a lot. I think success is very fragile these days. And you've got to be polished to withstand different schemes, different styles. And right now, Duke seems to have that.
Rare three-point attempt for Ryan Dunn is off the mark. Virginia has missed its last 10 shots. They've not hit from the field in 9+ minutes.
And that's really, like what Dellen said, like that's really fueled the attack. The transition part of this is so difficult. I don't care how good you are defensively. If you can't play with a set defense for most of the game, you're going to struggle.
Proctor deep at the shot clock. A deep three. And a shot clock violation. 5th turnover for Duke. Reece Beekman with 7 of Virginia's 13. They're 4 for 22. He's hit 2 field goals. He's assisted the other 2. Here's Dunn. Dunn gets free. A screen for Buchanan, and Ryan Dunn smashes the first Virginia field goal in eons. In fact, since the 12:41 mark, so a 10-minute drought without a field goal is snapped ferociously by Dunn.
And Dunn has to be aggressive. If they're going to sag off a Dunn and he's going to be able to get a catch, you've got to be ready to make your move, just as he did on that last possession.
Filipowski bodied up by Buchanan.
And if you don't, you're playing 4-on-5 the whole night.
Here's McCain hanging and hitting. And the freshman Jared McCain, the likely ACC Freshman of the Year, is on the board. Virginia trying to string together a couple of good possessions. Give you something to feel good about going into the locker room. That won't be it. Groves way off the mark. Filipowski down the floor. McCain just scored. A little too far for Filipowski. Will back into Groves. There's a big advantage on him physically, and yet Groves has a blocked shot, only his 7th of the year.
Well, Groves did a good job of anticipating the spin, and his balance is what made that play.
Here's Buchanan around Mitchell. Mark Mitchell's called for his first foul.
We mentioned Dunn, and they're sagging off him a lot. He's going to be the guy that it's not really going to get passes taken away. He's going to be able to get the catch, not 15, 18 feet, but if they're sagging, it's going to lead to a close. You've got to get your angle on the catch and attack right away. He's going to have opportunities with and without the basketball to score because they're not really covering him.
Tomorrow afternoon, women's basketball tripleheader as the regular season closes for these 6 teams. Number 1, South Carolina, still undefeated, trying to finish the regular season that way against Tennessee. Louisville, Notre Dame, 2 top 25 teams in the ACC, and then Duke's women's team trying to sweep the season series with UNC. All those games on ESPN and the ESPN app. Blake Buchanan, a 52% free throw shooter, goes 0 for 2. First 2 misses of the game for Virginia, 5 for 7 at the line. Here's a 3 in the corner. McCain too strong, and Buchanan grabs a rebound. It's a UVA team that is 21-8. They played well this year, but when they have gone down, they've often gone down hard, as McNeely commits Virginia's 4th foul of the half. A couple of weeks ago, they had a loss 75-41 at Virginia Tech. Their first 5 losses, or first 6 losses of the season, were all by 16 or more. So they've been good in the close games where they can get into their action early. They can assert the way they want to play. But there are a few teams that struggle playing from behind early as much as Virginia, which is the 2nd worst offensive team by efficiency in the 15 years Tony Bennett's been in Charlottesville.
Because the reason why I said poise and a solid start. You don't need a great start, just a solid start.
Beekman came up to take that one away. What looked like it might be an uncontested dunk for Filipowski. It's Elijah Gertrude, the freshman, getting some rare first half playing time for Virginia. Beekman, the switch on Filipowski, tries to dribble past him, draws the 2nd foul on Kyle Filipowski. So where does Virginia stand right now? They're the 6th to last team in the field, according to Joe Lunardi.
Right now, or like in general?
Well, he gave us a 3:45 update, so maybe a 6:50 update. They might slip a little bit. They're 46 in the VPI in the net. Look, even if Virginia's down big, and even if their odds of winning this game are insurmountable as McNeely hits a 3, the second half really matters because the net takes margin of victory into account.
Do you like that? Do you like that?
I do. I just don't know how much it's measured because we don't know what the secret sauce is. We can get into that when we come back at 30 to Cameron. At 13.3 to go in the half, because you asked the question, I'll pose to you. Do you like that margin of victory matters in terms of selecting NCAA tournament teams?
No, not really. I mean, I think the conversation, like Coach Greenberg brought up, like the Big 12 scheduling, their strength of schedule, and where they blow a lot of teams out early and then they beat up on each other, and there's like 15 tournament teams there, right? But I also think, like, we use the wrong arguments, like, well, sportsmanship. Like, toss that out the window. Like, you play to win. No, like, the game's not over. You keep playing. I don't mind teams running it up at times. Like, it's not about the sportsmanship issue. It's just like, what's the real point of blowing teams out? I would rather see wins celebrated more, because winning is really hard at this level. And every team out there at college basketball is going through the process of learning how to win year in, year out, especially with the portal and NIL.
Virginia, a couple of fouls to give. Roach will get stuffed by Beekman, who spikes it out of bounds with 1/10 of a second to go. I will just say, to be fair to the Big 12, they have the best record against other power conferences of any power conference. No question,
but I'm saying you can manipulate the
Sure.
rules a bit.
Sure.
It's not taken away from anything. I mean,
this would have to be a tip. Can't catch and shoot with 1/10 of a second, no matter how much Duke tried. That's one of the only things Duke didn't do well in the half. The fewest points they've allowed in a half this season. Virginia 6 for 26, Duke 17 for 29. Wow. What a half by John Shire's bunch. Let's get you to the studio, KC and DC, to make sense of it all. Next week it'll be even crazier, if you can believe that, when UNC comes to town. Tonight has been quite the opening course, the amuse-bouche, if you will.
the what?
Do you not know terms? Do you not know words, phrases? Duke's up by 22 at the break. Virginia hasn't been down this much at the half in 10 years, and Kyle Filipowski, the best player for Duke. The fans loving it behind Tony Bennett. High fives for everybody in blue. My gosh. Duke domination, Duke destruction. It was as thorough, as clinical a half as we've seen from the Blue Devils this year.
They played for one another, right? And they had fun doing it. They had fun dominating the basketball game. And that's really something that Duke has historically done, right? They've done a wondrous job of playing good, clean basketball, kind of putting on a clinic, dominating opponents. Their fans love it. They kind of, in a way, assert their greatness on the game. It's been a masterclass first half for Duke, and I don't know what UVA can do to come back in this game because of the ball movement, because of the transition, all those other things. You're down a significant amount. That's not even added up, but the reality is you've just got to play better basketball for UVA.
That's Game Track, brought to you by E-Trade. It has been all Duke up 22, 59% from the field, 28-8 in the paint. 7 Duke players have scored. Virginia's hit 6 field goals. And Duke starts with the ball, and Filipowski working against Dunn, who pokes it away. Ryan Dunn, who along with Reece Beekman be the frontrunners for ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Again, this is a Virginia program that obviously hangs its hat on defense under Tony Bennett. Rarely do they see a half like this. A three from the corner is good for Proctor, and Duke starts the second half where it left off in the first.
I mean, the other easy way to point it out is one team is facing a set defense and the other is not, and that's the greatest advantage you have if you're Duke right now.
Beekman somehow squirreled it through to Dunn. Reece Beekman led Virginia with 7. Only 4 Cavaliers scored in the half. 6 for 26, 1 made 3. McNeely leans in, left it short. The putback is there for McNeely. He's fouled, and he'll shoot 2.
Now, the initial attack in that play almost led to a turnover, but the rest of it was good. It was good ball movement. They were starting to work together, getting into actions where they got an open look. McNeely just kind of short-armed the first attempt, but he knew exactly where it was coming off.
Fouls the second on Proctor. Isaac McNeely, tremendous free throw shooter, hits the first. Last time Duke allowed 18 or fewer points in the first half was last season against Virginia in the ACC title game. UVA scored 17, and they have really struggled offensively this year. Their scoring offense is always down because of the pace at which they play. They're a good three-point shooting team, but they don't shoot it a ton. They're 350th in the country in free throw shooting. It has been the second worst offensive team for Tony Bennett in his 15 years as Virginia's head coach.
If you're not getting to the free throw line, you're not the aggressor, and you're not working through progressions and options within what you do offensively. That's good defense.
2 blocks for Dunn. He ties up Filipowski on the second. And the ACC shot block leader, Ryan Dunn, will turn possession over.
I mean, this is just physical play down there. Good for Ryan Dunn, just fighting to keep ground, really. That's a tall task, but better ball movement's going to make it even tougher to defend, and I love that he has just shot that shot. Good for him. They've been sagging so much. At this point, you're down, what, they're down 23 at the time. Like, let it fly. Really hard to have a guy on the floor that you're not respecting as a defense because, again, it's 5-on-4 advantage defense.
Ryan Dunn's first made 3 since January 10th at Georgia Tech.
I love when people are like, how's he so open? I'm like, by design.
That's why. Roach, tough angle shot off the right foot. Jeremy Roach, a 4-year starter with a terrific finish. His 2 makes today have been pretty difficult jump shots, too. Beekman penetrating. Wraps it around to Jordan Minor. Merrimack transfer. Beekman alone in the corner. And back-to-back threes for Virginia.
So let's see if Virginia can find a little something.
Called a long 2, actually, for Beekman.
Let's see if Virginia can find something by getting their defense set. Duke just has so many options, so many weapons, good action, good ball movement like they had the first half. They're going to be able to pick out their options.
There's Mitchell, who got going early for Duke. Drives it and gets hacked by Minor. Hard foul, Jordan Minor, second.
I would argue almost, maybe, that there are more fouls on the dribble than there are even at the rim. I mean, that's a hack job, but you watch the ball handlers. Remember, we had the freedom of movement, point of emphasis, so what do? We just blew the whistle every other second. We've gotten away from that a little bit, but there's got to be a middle ground where you can't ride the offensive player and check with your elbow with the body. Easier said than done. Still a physical game, but I just think somewhere in between, you got to free up the ball handler because we're doing a good job of allowing that wall up at the rim, but more plays at the rim. Good for basketball.
Remember, call the first foul was a post principle.
That's the dumbest thing in the world, though.
Call the first foul on the drive if it's
I mean, but you got to do it early where you establish what you're going to call, and it's up to the players to adjust to it.
Beekman driving it into Mitchell. Reece Beekman's got a dozen, and Virginia much better offensively to start this half.
Like, you're a baseball guy. It's like a bad umpire. If he's bad but consistently bad, it's up to the players and the hitters to adjust to it, the pitchers to adjust to that bad strike zone.
Call the low strike early. You better call the low strike in the ninth inning.
Exactly.
McCain catch and shoot. And around and out, Filipowski crashes, and it's out of bounds off Dunn. Offensive rebound for Duke with 20 to shoot.
It's good to see Virginia play a little bit more freely on the offensive end. Just be on the attack. Get to the free throw line. Finish at the rim. I mean, be the aggressor with absolutely nothing to lose at this point.
Mitchell inside against Minor. Position for Mark Mitchell. And he's the 3rd Blue Devil into double figures.
I think Duke fans can appreciate the development and maturation of a guy like Mark Mitchell where, you know, more of a, I don't want to say a finesse guy, but he's really developed in terms of his ability to manage and handle his body and that contact and finish through it. Something you have to adjust to throughout the course of the season.
Here's a steal off the hands of Dunn into the hands of Roach. Here comes Proctor with a jam.
Do you want to make a joke about the Union Jack flying?
Limiting myself to 1. Virginia is right at its season turnover number, which is the smallest such number in Division I. Beekman into Filipowski. Minor deflects it into the hands of his teammate. Andrew Rohde loads up a short 3. And Filipowski will guide it out of bounds with Duke leading by 23.
I told you I wanted to get this in if the game permitted, and I do feel like the game permits it. I've got to mention the Pittman High School boys basketball team. My hometown, my nephew Elijah, won their South Jersey championship today. I guess that means they're in the state semifinals. I don't know how things go anymore. Everything changes too fast. But congratulations to Elijah Crispin and the boys. My boy Ronnie Myers, the head coach. My dad's a volunteer assistant and superintendent. So congratulations, boys. That's fun stuff.
Roach with a basket, and Elijah joined the Crispin 1,000-point club earlier this year, too.
He did.
How many are in that now?
Like 5.
Joe, Carly, Elijah, you.
My dad.
Here's Buchanan over Filipowski. Here's a nice finish for the freshman Blake Buchanan from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Well, part of it is they're just getting into offensive action. The secondary part of it is like, look, Duke, can you bury an opponent? I think that's important.
Mitchell into Buchanan. Trying to do so offensively. 40 points in the first half. Duke's got a dozen in the first stretch of the second.
Yeah, when Duke has gotten set and got their communication going early on the defensive end, they're able to make things happen, including this, right? Breakout plays, easy dunks at the rim, go get your defense set. Duke still has to work and put this Virginia team away.
When are we going to ban court storming?
I don't like court stormings, never have.
You don't want 3,000 people coming on the court.
Fans don't belong on the court.
I absolutely feel like it was personal.
It's gotten way out of control.
How many times does a player have to get into something where they get punched or they get pushed or they get taunted right in their face? It's a dangerous thing.
Biggest story in college basketball this week wasn't what happened on the court during a game. It was what happened on the court after it a week ago. Kyle Filipowski shaken up by a court storm from the Wake Forest students. You've been around this game a long time. You've seen a lot. I'd love to know your perspective on the situation and what can be done going forward.
I think you know me well enough that you know I'll take a contrarian view to that. And you hear all those words. A lot of times coaches don't like court storms because they're the ones that get stormed, right? They're the upset. We get that. It's Duke. It's Kentucky. We know all about that. But the reality is I would rather be a little bit more of a critical thinker than a reactive thinker. We do that a lot in college basketball. We overreact to a team that plays well. They're the best team in college basketball. Till they lose, now they're not. Somebody else, right? We overreact to a lot. And the reality is, it is both awesome and dangerous at the same time. Don't take away something that students will show up for. The hope that they could storm the court against Duke is something that they celebrate. Don't take that away. But make some strides to make it less dangerous for players. You got 50 security guards standing around that do very little, if not nothing. The students just pile right through. Take your 10 best. Teach them how to build a flying V, and you get those dang players safely off the court. But I think that's the middle ground. We just get so absolute when things happen. We get so recent with our bias to the point where we just want to do away with everything, right? There's a handshake line altercation. Well, why do we have handshakes? Right. No, scratch that. Be a critical thinker and say, no, learn how to be an adult, right? Why do we want to just eliminate things that we can't manage properly? So I would say manage it first. And then if they can't be managed because students are that out of control, something else needs to be done. But I wouldn't go to the very end first, right? I would at least start with a process that respects both sides of that, which I do think there's two sides of it.
Yeah. And I appreciate your perspective on this. There's fun, there's safety. Can we do both at the same time? I think we can. As Dunn stuffs it in and gets Virginia back within 21.
Sorry for my rant.
No, don't be sorry for your honest opinions. I think people's opinions have changed a week later. When it happens in the moment, people have a tendency to react. And can we think about this? Can conferences think about this? Can schools put together a plan as Filipowski finishes? Because you can tell students not to do it. They're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Filipowski having a fantastic game, by the way, 17 and 6 tonight. As Duke is all over UVA and gets a steal from McCain. It's McCain left-handed for his second basket.
Yeah, McCain's got a real good stability to his game. And when you have stability at a young age, you're able to feel the game out differently. You're able to grow within the game. You're able to establish and kind of define your role along the way. And I think that's the reason why he's been so good.
Guarding McNeely there, he forces him into a tough two. Mitchell's got the rebound. Duke is plus 10 on the glass.
But just to cap the point, player safety is most important. Like, these are guys that have careers. I respect the heck out of that. They have potential. They have careers. These seasons, what these coaches, what these players, what the staff, and even the people that you don't even know exist within a program, what they put into this team to make a winner. You have no idea what goes into it, but you look at that. At the very bottom, 3 unranked Road Huskies this season, all court stormings.
It's not going to be a court storming today. I feel pretty safe saying that.
Thanks,
Beekman,
Kevin.
You're welcome. When was the last court storming at Cameron, I wonder?
Well, look, that's part of the aura. We expect to beat you.
85% of the time here, 960 and 173 all time.
I would love to be the team that says, yeah, we expect to win, but the reality is I played basketball for Penn State, so
That's not nice, but it is true. Filipowski finishes again. He is dominating this front line. 19 for Filipowski with 7 rebounds and a couple of assists to boot.
When that ball moves east to west, Filipowski's found ways to get position inside. That position is sealed position for a feed in the post, but it's also a rebounding position where he's been very present.
Rhodey throws it right into the hands of Sean Stewart, who then loses it back. Beekman off the steal, and Beekman will score. By the way, Reece Beekman, with that steal, has just become the all-time leader at the University of Virginia. His 223rd career steal. He passes Othell Wilson, class of '84, for the most ever at UVA. Well, congratulations to Reece Beekman, who won the ACC Defensive Player of the Year last year. Might well do it again. What a find by Filipowski, and Stewart could not reward him.
Well, Beekman has tremendous instincts. He's also been very well coached, and that's a great find for McNeely in transition. UVA does not get a lot of transition baskets, and they're going to take a timeout to kind of control this thing, slow it down a little bit, down 22.
Okay, when you turn around, you're going to see some.
It's 9-13 shooting, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Really, that doesn't say anything about his game. His game is so versatile in the sense that you can play through him. He's a ball mover. Defensively, he's been much improved from year to year. Yeah, the dunk's cool, but the reality is, man, yeah, these are big shoes. Kyle Filipowski has figured out how to win at this level, and I wanted to take a step in his shoes. It didn't feel so good. Yeah, there's a reason why I'm doing this, and I guess that ship would have sailed a long time ago.
What is your shoe size?
I'm a 12. Oh. Very average, Kevin. I'm just average across the board. Yeah. But Filipowski, I want to finish the point, though. Filipowski really gives you a different versatility because you can play big with him because of his ability to play around the perimeter. You can go small and play him as a big. I mean, there's so many dynamic lineup options that John Shire has, and a lot of that centers around Kyle Filipowski.
There's a 3 for TJ Power, the freshman from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, with his 11th triple of the year. Now, John Shire said of Filipowski, when your leading scorer, when the guy who's been the #1 guy in the scouting report for 2 years is all about winning, that's contagious. And when you see the way Duke has shared the ball of late, you see why it's contagious.
But winning is not just wanting to win. Right? Like, everybody wants to win. Are you willing to do the things that are necessary that put you in the best situation to give you the highest percentage chance of winning? Those are habits. That's welcoming accountability. All the things that I know Coach K programs always had, which was good habits, accountability, playing for one another, the discipline. I think that's something that the Duke program still showcases.
Turn around for Proctor, boy. Duke has hit some open shots, and Duke has hit some contested shots.
Well, there comes a point where you're just playing ball, and Duke right now is able to just play ball, have fun, kind of explore some things, including a trap here.
Beekman passes it across the entire length of Durham to set up Groves for a 3. Beekman with 6 assists to go with 13 points and 4 rebounds, and Jake Groves hits his first from deep. By the way, Reece Beekman now 3rd all-time at Virginia in assists. He passed Jeff Jones for 4th today, so he's moved up to 1st in the steals list and 3rd in the assist list all-time, in a decorated career in Charlottesville. These Cavaliers have a big hole to dig out of here, though. It's all Duke in Durham.
True story. There's nothing more March than a conference title chase. It's the Volunteers and the Crimson Tide. The SEC crown is coming down to the wire. Experience number 4 Tennessee, number 14 Alabama tonight on ESPN.
Oh boy, is that tasty. Both teams 12-3, tied for 1st in the SEC. By the way, don't sleep on South Carolina, who's a half game behind those two, but the Vols and the Crimson Tide have played a lot of close games in recent years and looks set to do so again. Dan Shulman, Jay Billis, Jess Sims have the call following our game right here on ESPN.
Oh, God, this place is great.
It's insane. Tay Murray inbounding with a few dozen of his best friends in blue. shaking their hands and fingers in his face, and one fake baby, which was just hoisted into the air during the timeout multiple times.
I'm sure it was tossed. Cylinder violation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how about it?
That's the best officiating arm gesture, the cylinder violation. Very forceful. Called by Brent Hampton.
But it is, and the truth is, it's probably like holding, where you could call it every single play. You know, holding in football.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. Not holding in polo. You much of a polo player, Crispin?
Not exactly, no. Like the water kind, or ride a horse?
Yeah. You strike me as more of the equestrian type.
Yeah, totally.
Murray is completely smothered. Filipowski knocks it away. That is a shot clock violation. And Duke has turned over Virginia 11 times today. Again, the Cavaliers, the fewest turnovers per game in the country at 8.2.
I think the big part of that is Duke making so many shots and having their defense set. Right? There's like certain confidence you have when you're not chasing the play defensively.
Filipowski in the lane, leaning into Dunn, stepping back on Dunn. He draws a foul on Ryan Dunn. Kyle Filipowski will try to pick up a 20-point game at the line.
Like, I would argue that even that play, you could probably call a cylinder violation. Like, it's really hard. I just think it's when you're trying to rip through and they're really too close, you have to basically not allow the defense to gain an advantage by getting too close.
66% free throw shooter, Kyle Filipowski, who had not shot it quite as well the last couple of weeks. Turnovers were up, but John Shire said this before the game. Look, nobody has more assists for us in ACC play than Kyle Filipowski. He has 2 tonight to go with 21 points, 7 rebounds, and he's only committed 1 foul. That's been an issue for them this year, too. Early foul trouble against Filipowski.
And this game had a really good flow to it in the first half. There were only 9 fouls total, so it was up and down, and Duke was able to find a good rhythm, obviously making shots, getting defense set. And pretty much all basketball players, they're rhythm-based. You shoot a higher percentage when you shoot an in-rhythm jump shot. An in-rhythm three, it's a higher percentage shot. And they just have to continue to work to sustain that for long periods of time.
Off the Gertrude miss, an offensive rebound for Ryan Dunn, who's got 9 points, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks tonight. He and Beekman and McNeely have scored 32 of Virginia's 39. As that shot by Harris hit nothing, and the Cameron Crazies make sure he knows it.
Ruthless. I'd say perfectly ruthless.
Yep. They're ruthless and they're intelligent.
Yeah.
They know exactly how to get in your head. They know your major. They probably know where you had dinner last night. They know all the scores of your games. And by the way, it's got to be some kind of a fire safety code. How many of them are jammed into the bleachers there? Mitchell deflected away by Dunn, his 4th block shot of the game.
Stop trying to ruin all the fun, Kevin. Getting the fire marshal involved. Jeez.
Yeah, because I'm the first person who's ever brought that up, John. Building's been open since 1940. Here's Murray, knocked away. Good play there by Jalen Blakes, junior from Somerset, New Jersey, getting some run. Inside, Filipowski missed a dunk. 40 points in the paint for Duke. The 41st and 42nd just went off the back rim. Gertrude crossing his way over Mitchell. And Virginia's gone cold here. Scoring drought of around 3 minutes for the Cavaliers.
Taking shots is a lot different than running offense. And running offense doesn't have to be a set play. It's just get some movement. Get into some of the actions that you like. Explore it.
You talked to shoot around about how hard it is to guard the flare screen, re-screen.
Yes.
Virginia does so well. We haven't seen them have a lot of success tonight with it.
I think part of it's, wow, McCain. They're going to count it. I think part of it is defense had a good game plan. They've executed, and it's just been hard. But how about McCain? Not really a guy that's had too much going. He gets one to go there. It's been the Kyle Filipowski show. Filipowski's just been terrific in every way. Being able to pass the ball, play through him, and gets everybody involved. Duke's just continuing to roll. Dallin.
couldn't help himself, could he?
Oh, Dallin.
Yeah. Thanks, DC.
I love being in studio with Dallin.
Why is that?
He keeps it very entertaining.
3-point play for McCain.
Like, let's just say that there's this whole thing about broadcasters never lose. Not the case with Dallin.
Let's only hope we get one more studio update during today's game. By the way, Wake Forest a week ago, as we all know, beat Duke, stormed the court. Everything's great. McNeely hits a shot. Wake Forest going to the NCAA tournament. Wake 0-2 this week, losing at Notre Dame. Outscored by 20 in the second half against Virginia Tech. That's good news for Virginia, which is also on the bubble and seem to be a little bit ahead of Wake Forest. But the Demon Deacons have a lot of work to do still to be that 5th ACC team. And frankly, Virginia has a little work to do to be the 4th ACC team in the field. Young going to work on Groves, back rim, and it's up for grabs. It's saved by Blakes. Stewart smothered and rejected by Jake Groves.
I think back to that point, like, is the goal just to make the NCAA tournament? Is the goal to feel good going into the NCAA tournament where you can win some games? Like, you see a lot of teams faltering down the stretch, and I don't know how you feel good, right? You feel confident going into the NCAA tournament if you struggle to score, right? If you can't get stops, like, if you can't close out an opponent, I just think how you feel is going to determine a lot in the NCAA tournament. Because teams are still new to one another.
3 for Roach. Stewart making the most of his playing time. Sets up Blakes for another missed triple. Duke is 5 for 15 from 3.
Got a little weird release, huh?
A little different. I'm certainly not judging. Look at Blakes though, fighting for the ball. Takes it away from Beekman. Blake's waiting for his teammates to join him. And Roach will hold it with under 5 to go. Game that Duke's led by as many as 29. Virginia led at 2-0. Never since. Roach spinning. Roach fading. Rebound to Dante Harris. Duke's missed its last 5. Virginia's 1 for its last 7. Beekman makes it 1 for 8. This game has come screeching to a halt offensively.
Well, Duke's not on the accelerator. They're going to run some stuff. They're going to get, but really the ball is just kind of staying where it is. They're not in attack mode, and it's fine. They're up big. There's only 4 minutes and 10 seconds left.
Again, Virginia, what you're playing for is your efficiency. That matters in the net ranking.
Yeah,
their net ranking is going to take a big dip, you'd imagine, after today. Down 27 at the under 4. That's why Reece Beekman's still out there. McNeely done. Harris with a 3, no good. Rebound tipped out to Beekman. Will drive it into Young, and he will finish. 15 for Reece Beekman. And Tony Bennett's going to take his 3rd timeout. We'll take it with him. Come back, put a bow on this thing from Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Blue Bloods, contenders, neighbors, and rivals. The Heels and the Blue Devils.
Let's go. They always respond.
Such fire from both.
The game's a marathon.
Year after year, it always delivers. They are ready to rock.
Guys, we look forward to that. The nation's #1 team. Player of the game here brought to you by Voya. It is Kyle Filipowski. 21 points, 9 of 14 from the field, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and even more that goes beyond just the stats.
Everybody got a little jacked up here, Kevin. Why?
Yeah, because Spencer Hubbard is in, the walk-on guard, wearing 55, 5'8", 157 senior.
5'8", wearing the double nickels.
That's
awesome.
right. He hit a 3 against Louisville Wednesday. The crowd went bananas. TJ Power will hit his second 3 here. And if they can get something out of TJ Power down the stretch, what a lift that would be.
I agree. I mean, just look, you get enough on tape, what you become is a threat to your opponent. So is another guy that you got to prepare for on the scout.
Number 32 in the country, coming out of high school, freshman from Massachusetts. There's a 3 for Beekman, who's up to 18 for UVA.
I think Beekman's got so much more in terms of his offensive game that we just almost untapped. You see it at times. Obviously, today is a bit of an outlier.
Hubbard, every time he touches the ball, they're going to lose their minds in the Cameron Crazies. Here's Young into the body of Groves. Young finds Stewart. He finds the rim ferociously. Beekman fouled by Hubbard. Raises his left hand, make sure everybody knows he committed the foul. Let's take a look at the dunk one more time.
I mean, this is just pure vert, you know, and a stinky face at the end. I do want to make the point about Hubbard, right? They cheer it, and it's kind of like, oh, it's great, good for him. I mean, this is a dude that if he went to the IM building, he'd smoke everybody.
Oh, no doubt.
Like, I think you underestimate how good walk-ons there are at this level. And also, by the way, these are the people that get you prepared.
Yes.
Every single game, they're studying every other team. Look, I transferred, I had to sit out a year. I loved being the red shirt.
Drake, whatever you were.
Yeah, no, that was something else. Yeah. But no, like being the scout team guy, like there's a certain pride in it, and that's ultimately what this reward is all about.
Yeah.
You're rewarding guys that are dedicated to the team but never really get to pay it off. And oh, by the way, they're pretty good.
Yep. Power. In and out would have been his third three. Blake's out. Hubbard! No.
You were rooting for it.
Were you?
I'm non-biased.
Okay. I was just setting up the call.
Where are you going to go?
Broadcaster inflection. No, if I do that, I owe Mike Breen a 50-piece.
True. Oh, look, they're going to double him.
Hubbard fouled. That's the fifth against Virginia. Speaking of Mike Breen, NBA Saturday primetime on ABC. Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. LeBron James 9 points away from 40,000. His Lakers at home, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central ABC. NBA Countdown starts it all a half hour earlier.
Who's Lakers?
LeBron James Lakers. Oh, yeah. Austin Reeves Lakers as well. Jalen Blake's no-go on the jumper. Tracked down by Harris. Under 90 seconds to play in a game that has been owned by Duke from start to finish. And Dante Harris will shoot two. Virginia's got one game left in the regular season. Georgia Tech a week from today at home, which is not a game that's going to give you a quad 1 or 2 win. You win that game, you get a double bye into the ACC tournament, and they may need to do a little more work there. As you look at Virginia now, do you see an NCAA tournament team, and not just tonight, do you see an NCAA tournament team on the whole?
I would say sometimes incrementally, but on a whole, no, not particularly. I hate to say that. It sounds insulting, but when you create offense, I have a tough time thinking you're going to go to the NCAA tournament and win games. You've got to be able to create offense. You've got to be able to score enough to be able to get your defense set. They were never able to do that. They were never able to slow down the attack from Duke. I do think they have it in them, and I got to say, the week might be the best thing for them.
Sure.
You know, let's reboot, right? Unplug it, plug it back in 10 seconds later, really get to work on some things. Build confidence throughout the course of the week. And focus on the things that they've done well this year. I think that's the thing. They have had good games.
Hubbard gives it up to Blake, so the crowd hates it. Neil Begovic is in the game. Hubbard down the lane. Hubbard loses it out of bounds. Begovic, a grad transfer from Stanford who played 4 years there, who's playing in his 22nd career game, is in there as well.
Yeah,
good reward for these
players. To Stanford and Duke. Like, hashtag I'm better than
we'll
you.
all be working for Neil Begovic someday. Harris down the lane. Leon Bond in the game up for Rhodey, a deep three. And rebounded by Stern. I'm glad you made the point about the walk-ons, though, because they don't just twiddle their thumbs and sit on the bench. These guys are the hardest workers in the program.
No, and you know what, Kevin? They're also the guys that when you're done playing, you're going to call them and ask for a job.
Yep.
Talk about habits and accountability. They know what it takes, man. They've done every job.
Buchanan has a rebound, and the shot clock is turned off.
Includes the managers as well.
Absolutely. By the way, the UVA managers won yesterday. I do want to mention this before we go. The Virginia managers posted on Twitter that they were supposed to play the Duke managers last night. They were told last minute the Duke managers had other Friday night plans.
Yep.
So they found a bunch of random guys, played them in a game and beat them. So congratulations to the UVA managers.
It's like a win with
winning their spur of the moment pickup game.
I think it's a fair point, though, because we underestimate the value of people that you barely know exist. The same thing goes for what we do, right? There are a bunch of people in a truck or control room that are bringing this to life, holding cameras here longer than we are.
That's right.
Yet we're the ones you have to tolerate, but trust me, there's a lot of good people behind what we get to do.
Sean Jackson, Bonnie Riley, our producer-director, Chris Watt, who gave me a camera to shoot our walk up the stairs that apparently I didn't do very well. We'll show it next time. Jays Morgan, everybody in the control room, terrific crew here at Duke. What a win this is for Duke.
It is.
And what a statement of intent going into the final week of the regular season. 73-48 the final. The Blue Devils destroy Virginia in a matchup of the two best teams in the last 5 years in the ACC. It's advantage Duke now in that category. 31-2 at home under John Shire, with NC State on the road and UNC at home.
Oh boy.
Everybody, Kevin Brown. Tennessee, Alabama shortly. For now, back to the studio.